All right, welcome to our fourth episode of Kicking It with Coach. I have a guest, Marcus Graham. I coach Marcus in football and track at Mountain Island Charter. How have you been doing, Marcus?
I've been doing pretty well. Despite everything that's going on, pretty crazy. It's good to have time with the family. Spend time with the family that I usually don't get. So I've just been taking that, as positive as it goes.
Yeah, Marcus is a student athlete. He plays football at Stanford. So he's a student athlete at Stanford. Do you want to talk a little bit about your first year at Stanford academically? What those grades look like?
Uh, Surprisingly to me, the grades look good. But honestly, what I found at Stanford is like they want to help you as much as they can. And so it's really about learning and really about nurturing you. It's not about, trying to make an example or trying to, weed out people. So that was one thing that, I was really happy about. But yeah, I mean, just as far as like everything that they provide, as far as tutoring and everything like that, if you want to succeed, then, you can succeed there.
Without question, and Marcus, you're one of the hardest working student athletes I've ever had the pleasure to coach. Definitely, I've had some great ones, and your rare ability to compete academically at a high level and also compete at a high level on the football field and track was very, very impressive. So, is
Thank
there
you.
any advice that you could give any student athletes out there now that's currently in high school?
Um, my advice, just set a standard for yourself. I think that was the biggest thing about me. And I kind of inherited it from my parents, really. They set a standard for me as far as academics where, not doing well wasn't acceptable. So I just kept that standard for myself. And then I just applied it to academics and I applied it to sports and it just worked out for me.
No doubt. What's some of your goals for the upcoming season?
For the upcoming season is, um, as far as athletically, just get better each day. I try not to look at too much of like long-term goals. I just try to look at, get 2% better each day, whether that's, catching, whether that's, doing push-ups here and there, whether that's reading the playbook. Just do something that gets me 2% better each day. And then, in the long run, it'll all pay off.
I like that. I like that philosophy to get 2% better each day.
Right.
Now, what's your goals academically?
Academically, it's just continue on the path that I'm going. I plan to major in STS, major at Stanford. So uh, just keep my head in the books, keep focus, and use all the resources that they give me. Because that was one thing that I learned my first quarter actually, is that there's a really big upside to using all the resources that they give you. So yeah.
For sure. What was your biggest transition between high school and college?
I think the biggest thing is responsibility because, in high school, you're living with somebody or, you're driving to school. I mean, it's more monitored. In college, it's on you. If,
Mhm.
where you want to go is going to be based off of like what kind of work that you put in it and how you discipline yourself. So yeah, discipline was the biggest thing that, was a difference.
Yeah, and I had this conversation with a lot of ninth graders. For whatever reason, some ninth graders have the belief that they got a year to get it right. And as you know, that's not the case. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Everything counts. I remember when I was in eighth grade, about to go into ninth grade, that was like the biggest thing that was in my mind. It was like, from this point on, everything counts because, those ninth grade grades, they're used in calculating your senior year GPA. So, you really don't have time to, just, not really focus, I guess. You really got to take every opportunity and every semester seriously.
No doubt. So, how important is that taking your academic serious as a student athlete or student period in high school?
It's very serious. I mean, you don't realize how many opportunities will open up for you when you're taking care of that. Um, I know as far as me, just like a lot of opportunities, deep into my high school career where I didn't even think that it was really paying off, but I kept getting coaches coming back to me and saying that they were really impressed with my grades, and my grades helped me get into opportunities where other people may have not been able to. So it's always important.
No doubt. And one thing that I know as a coach, athletic coach, no matter if it's football or track, is that you hear, throughout the school, whatever school you go to, teachers are gonna talk. That's just what we do, right? So when you start hearing great things about the young ladies or young guys you coach, it really impresses you as a coach. And I know for me, all I ever heard was great things about you inside the classroom. So, we have sometimes you could be one person in the classroom and one person on whatever the athletic field is.
Hmm.
So I was always impressed by that with you, Marcus. Do you want to talk how your high school experience shaped your college life?
Um, I think it shaped it in many ways, but one of the main things, just personally to me, uh, when I transferred schools and going into the 11th grade, that kind of made me grow up a lot. And I think just playing football and knowing what I wanted to do on the next level uh, made me understand sacrifice and
Hmm.
discipline. And, those are two key things that help you on this level. So, yeah, I just think it made me grow up a lot going from different schools and just having to make that sacrifice. So, yeah.
What is some advice you can give any young athletes that's looking to make it where you're at right now?
Um, Biggest advice I would give, like I said before, get 2% better each day. Um, that's what I say that a lot just because I remember when I was back in 10th grade and I wanted to be good right now. I wanted to be good like the next practice I went to, but then I realized it was about, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you got to look at it in the long run. Whether or not somebody's better than you today, just get 2% better each day, and eventually you're going to be better than that person, or at least on their level. So yeah, just consistently get better. And consistency also is a very big thing. It's a thing that I'm still working on and developing today, but consistency will take you a long way.
Yep. And Marcus, I always say that it's actually harder to be a student athlete than it is to be a regular student because you're trying to balance the rigor of your academic success along with your rigor of your athletic success. So I think that gets overlooked at times that you guys are balancing a lot. Y'all are balancing a ton, no matter if that's in middle school, high school, or college. You want to talk about anything that sports has given you? What has sports given you to help shape you as a person and develop you as a good college student?
Um, I would say discipline, probably the biggest thing that there was. I realized that in order to be successful, that especially in high school, and that you have to work every day. You know, you can't just turn it on sometimes and turn it off sometimes. That doesn't work. Or somebody, if you do that, you're gonna get beat by a team, or you're gonna get beat by that one guy in a race where you should have beat him. So discipline was like the first thing, and next thing is just playing sports and while also handling your academics. You learn a lot about responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
and you learn about like time management.
Mm-hmm.
Time management was a big thing for me because unlike, regular students, you're not going home. You're going to practice right after school. So you got to really, right after practice, you got to go get your homework done. You might be tired, but, you got to understand that, this is the time that I got, so I have to take advantage of it. And I think those are all skills that, you know, are universally used, even after school, even after, athletics.
No doubt. But before we get to my share screen so we can look over some stuff. Is it anything that you've learned from me throughout your high school career? Any slogans or anything that has stuck with you?
Um, there's a lot, but mm, the biggest thing I learned from you is just like, I think was sacrifice. I think the biggest thing was sacrifice. Just some of the personal conversations that we had, and about like this personal decisions that you had to make, you know, where we didn't realize that it was in our best interest, but you knew it was in our best interest. You had to sacrifice, you know, us liking you for a minute, or you know, us being on your good side for, you know, our best interest. And I think that was really big, and I didn't really get that until like my senior year. It was just like the sacrifices that you had to make to, you know, help us be successful, even when, you know, we were being knuckleheads.
No doubt, no doubt. One more thing. Any impressions? And I always ask, do impression of Coach Washington. You do one of me, but we got some. We have some characters on the coaching staff when you was here. So any impressions?
See, the problem is, like, I could do you, but I like it's a short one. You know what I'm saying? It's a short. What's going on, fellas? Like that's the short Coach Washington. Whenever you see him, that's what you're gonna see. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? I'm gonna leave everybody alone for now. I ain't gonna go on it.
Yeah, I know when you see us, you'll get us.
Okay.
I just want to say Marcus is one of the funniest dudes. He seems quiet when people don't know him. He won't open up a lot, but once you know this dude and you build his trust, he'll open up. He'll open up the world to you. So I appreciate that, Marcus. Also, so we're gonna go ahead and get into the fun part of this episode. We're gonna look at some stuff. So we're gonna start off with videos. So I'm gonna narrate it a little bit, Marcus, and then we'll talk about it. I'll pause and we'll talk about it. All right. All right, Marcus.
Uh,
I know that was tough, Marcus, having to follow in the footsteps of someone like Chaz
mm-hmm.
and doing it as a freshman. I know that was tough. You want to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. That was probably the craziest 2 weeks of my high school career. I'll be honest with you, when, you know, he first went down, you know, and I started doing the math, like, I'm gonna have to go in. I'm gonna have to play in a playoff game right now. And I was just going through the math, and everybody just started looking at me. And they're like, Marcus, you gotta start warming up. And I was just like, I was shell shocked, you know what I mean? But then, like, once I went out there and I started playing, and I started doing well, it just made me realize that I had more to give than I gave myself credit for.
Let me add this, Marcus. And I don't think I gave it the proper introduction, but you had to follow in the footsteps of the greatest, arguably the greatest high school athlete ever in the state of North Carolina. Not just some random dude that was the local star. Chaz was the real deal, both academically and athletically. Shout out to Chaz and Sage and his family. But I know that was tough.
Yeah. But yeah, those probably the two craziest weeks I've ever had in high school. And, you know, I had to do it though. I had to go out there, and to be fair, I had some of the greatest teammates too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was also throwing to Sage, Cameron Dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that made it easier. And I had a heck of a line. But yeah, I think that those games really taught me about, you know, the potential I had where I may not realize it, you know, because going into that game, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This might be crazy. And then, like, once you start playing, you know, you forget about all that, and, you know, you're just trying to go win.
No doubt. And that one clip, you was out. And one thing about you, I've never seen you get ran down from behind, ever. All right, I'm going to get into this next clip. All right, you at Mountain Allen, junior year. And Marcus, I just remember you being unstoppable. Like they could, it was nothing they could throw at us. And I mean, we had you and Burris in the backfield, which was a heck of a backfield, along with Mason King being out at receiver, along with CJ. Do you want to talk anything? What does that clip? What do you think about that clip?
You know, just thinking, seeing that clip, that was probably my favorite game, and the reason is like that was the first time we clicked on all levels. You know what I mean? It just felt like, you know, throughout the season, we were kind of individuals and we were kind of like, you know, starting to come together. And then that game, we really saw what, you know, us cohesively could do. And so, yeah, Burris was unstoppable that game. Mason was making all types of crazy tackles and crazy catches. CJ was locking everybody down. I mean, it just felt like everybody was on 10 that game. So it was fun to watch. And it was fun to, you know, that was probably one of the best film sessions to have too. Because, you know, I don't think there were too many mistakes. But, yeah, it was just a fun game to watch, fun game to play.
Well, I think I seen two people that probably got the Beanie Weenie Award up there.
Yeah.
We'll leave that nameless. But also, we're going to get into this next clip. Let me know what you think. Now, before we get into this clip, a lot of people don't know you was just as great on the track field as you was on the football field. So a lot of people don't realize that, but I could just remember this particular clip because it defined the intensity on your face. I want you to pay attention to your face. And I'm gonna get to another story that you're familiar with. So we're running 4x2. Let me set it up. We're running 4x2, and Marcus is running our second leg, I believe, because Tico's running the first, so he's bringing it into you. He's in the white and blue. Now, I like that clip because it always brought me back to another clip a clip in my mind is when I convinced you to run a 4x4.
Yeah.
And you was hot, but you ran it. And I think you gave us one of our best legs. But when you start competing, you have this intensity on your face, and you know you're locked in. So I always knew when you was on, even when you played football, I knew it because your face always showed your intensity. I'm gonna get into another clip.
I first saw Marcus in the spring when I was out spring training in North Carolina. And what I noticed about him was he got done with a track workout, and then he jumped right into a football workout. And you could see his explosiveness. and his change of direction and his ability to make plays with the ball in his hand. And so when I was evaluating Marcus, I said, wow, this is a guy that really can add something to our group in terms of his change of direction, explosiveness, making people miss, but also just his flat out speed and his ability to get the ball. So really excited about Marcus because I think he'll give our group a different view in the future. And I think we can move him around, play inside, outside, maybe do some fly sweeps with him. But I just think he's a real personal player that I think will add a lot to our group.
All right, Marcus, just looking at that clip, I think that tells a lot about your versatility. The one thing I was impressed with you about was you was an elite high school quarterback that already had a lot of accolades in high school as a quarterback. But once you realize that coaches are starting to look at you at another position, I think some coaches even looked at you at defensive back, but you knew they was looking at you at receiver. I just remember you locking in and really trying to get great. Even though you didn't really play a lot of receiver for us, you played some, but you also locked in at practice on trying to get better and honing your receiving skills. You want to talk anything about that transition?
I think my transition to wide receiver was, at first, it was difficult for me. I had opinions from other people that they told me I should probably look at it, but I was stuck on being a quarterback. But once I started to realize, kind of the game of sacrifice and things I had to give up to get what I wanted, I started looking into it, and I think just coming to Mountain Island Charter, just being around guys like Coach Reese that really kind of let me develop, I guess, and really just take his time and be patient. But yeah, once I got comfortable and once I felt like I could make an impact at this position too, I just took it and ran with it. And honestly, I'm blessed that I did because it opened a lot of opportunities for me.
No doubt. And to be clear, you had offers at quarterback. Some of your offers, schools wanted to recruit you as quarterback. So for you to dedicate yourself like that, that was very impressive because you did that transition in front of me in a matter of 2 months. And that's really rare. So shout out to you, Marcus, for that. So I'm going to get into one more slideshow. Let me know what you think. This is my Q&A part.
All right.
All right, Marcus. Explain this picture.
All right. So this is somewhere in Florida. I think I'm 10. We're traveling. It's an all-star travel team for the club. It's in. This is December, actually. It's like 90 degrees outside, I think. And I think we just finished runner-up in the Division II championship or whatever. So we got that trophy. So that was pretty big for us.
No doubt.
Yeah. Look at the double socks, man. Jeez.
The double socks. That was the thing back then, was the double socks.
The original elites too. That's crazy.
At least you didn't have the land sharks. You remember the old school land sharks?
Yeah.
All right, next pick. All right. As we talked about earlier, your East Lincoln days having to take over for high school legend. You got that fierce look. Like what is this picture? What are you doing in this picture?
All right. So this is against Forest View. And I think I'm mad at this point because I threw like 2 picks back to back, like earlier in the game. So I was upset, and then I was kind of like timid at the first part of the game. I didn't want to like mess up anymore. But then like I just like hit a switch, and I was just like I just got mad, and I was just like I don't care about messing up. I'm just trying to score now, So I think that's what that face is saying. But yeah.
No doubt. All right, this next picture, transition. You're at Mountain Island. First time that you're there, we go in that summer. We go do pictures. And me and actually Michael Spiver, we talked about that earlier. We went out to the lake. What are you thinking about in this picture right here?
I'm like, there's fish around my feet.
I remember that the fish was nipping at everybody's feet.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm really doing in water right now, but I'm gonna just smile for this camera real quick.
Shout out to Mike Strauss again. That was his idea. It worked well.
Yeah.
All right, this next picture. So you got a successful, junior year. You going into your senior year, right? This is around the spring of your junior year. You start picking up steam. Starting off with, really like smaller schools to mid majors to boom, Wisconsin offer, and you commit. What's this picture? I mean, it's a bunch of pictures, but what was that feeling like?
Just relief and I felt blessed. Felt like everything kind of came full circle a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I spent most of my junior year and sophomore year, just worrying and, worrying about, whether I was going to be able to go to a school or whatever. And then, for me to be committed and like that process to be done with, it was like kind of like weird for a second and kind of, yeah. So I was just blessed in that photo.
No doubt. All right, this next photo I want to get into. Because people think I'm just showing a picture of a pizza, but you and Pops traveled, right? Me, you and Dave traveled the whole trip in a car. Me and you arguing about who's the best rapper of all time, right? Yeah. But we get to Chicago, right? And we want to try this deep dish pizza. We hear about this deep dish pizza. Did the pizza live up to your expectation?
Yes, it did. Honestly, it's probably one of the best pizzas I ever had in my life.
And that's saying a lot because your family's from New York, right? I'm from up north as well. And we're used to New York, thin slice, crust pizza. And for years, I've been hearing this argument, who's better out of Chicago and New York? And when I taste, I was like, it's all that and more. But I think it's two different tastes, pizza-wise. Like, you got to have a taste. Like, if you have pizza, if you want pizza, you got to say, okay, what do I really have the taste for, right? So you got to have a taste for it. They got a spot in North Carolina that sells that type of pizza, but it's not as good.
You already went?
Have you heard of Matt's Chicago Dog?
Nah.
Check it out. It's off of Exit 28. But they make a similar pizza. Not as much sauce on the top, and it doesn't taste like this, but if you got that craving for that style pizza, you can get one from there. All right, next clip. All right, we go into your senior year. A lot of hype, because you committed at this point, right?
Yeah.
A ton of hype, and you lived up to it. You definitely did. Can you talk about Leedy going into your senior year, your excitement?
Yeah. So I was committed at that point, and it felt like it was going to be the first year where I was just able to play without any pressure or anything bogging me down as far as like decisions to make. And of course I got hurt and tore my ACL the first game. But still, I mean, I think even though I didn't get to play my senior year, I still look at it as one of my most important years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that was one of the years where I had to, reflect upon myself the most. And I really had to look myself in the mirror and, ask, if I wanted to do this and, what I was going to be willing to do. So.
And Marcus, I remember that first game, that first series, you was clicking. Like,
yeah.
You progressed, you did a fake. And I was like, I seen it. I was like, this is the best I've ever seen him. And you was clicking, and then you hit the rail for your touchdown that season. But one thing I want to talk about is two photos with you on crutches is I appreciate you because you became a better leader. Like you developed, you was always a great leader, but you were kind of more lead by example. You'll say stuff here and there to your teammates. You was vocal, but you became very, very vocal. And this is the game that, we almost won this game. And we played at a high level that particular game. And you fired us up. I remember asking for you to have the pregame speech, and you went off. You went off, but it was all about your teammates and all about motivating them. And they was fired up. They wanted to win that game for you. They was fired up. So I remember this picture, you just being intense coming out. And throughout that whole year, you was there no matter what. You was there for the team. And that year, your brothers played for you. Same thing, you was a captain that game. You want to talk a little bit about that game or anything?
Very emotional. I think you can kind of see it in my demeanor, my eyes, especially because we were playing Stuart Kramer. They had beat us last year, and I felt like this was the year that we were going to, really take it to them. And it was really difficult not to be able to play and not to be, go to war with my brothers. So I think you can see the emotion, but also I think I was able to kind of channel that emotion and kind of, motivate, my teammates. So I just kind of had to, take those negatives and turn it into a positive somehow.
No doubt. No doubt. You did a great job of that, Marcus. All right. So you get to the point your senior year, you flip your commitment, you go to Stanford. Let me preference this photo. I looked at this photo a lot, Marcus, more than I needed to, because every time I got frustrated with like the process and the politics of just high school football period or just coaching period, because you get weary as a coach sometimes. I always look back in this photo, and it always brought me back to this is why coaches should do it. That smile on your face, that was everything. That was everything. You want to talk anything about this photo?
Probably one of the happiest days of my life. I know I had like my extended family in the background. You can't see them, but I think I was just more happy about seeing them there and having them like experience this moment with me too, and just having everybody that did so much for me and really stood behind me. Sorry, and really just helped me to get to where I'm at. Just all sharing this incredible moment, and it was just like great to see the pride in everybody else's faces. Because that means that they were really riding for you and really wanted to see you do well. So yeah.
No doubt. Now you just talked a little bit about your family, and I know just knowing your family, being friends of your father and your mother outside of football, and I know how much family means to your entire family. I love this photo because just knowing you and knowing your family, how much this means to you. Can you talk about this photo?
This is a great photo. I need to get this framed, but I think we had went through so much that year that having this happen and having me be able to sign was just like light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. And I think one of the greatest things that I got to see my grandma and my aunt. I could tell that she's emotional in the back, and yeah, it was a great moment. So I'm really thankful for that.
No doubt. Go to this next picture. All right, you at the point, Marcus, living the dream. I think the epitome of student athlete when you're talking about your schools like Stanford. I think that's Power 5 school, Power 5 academics. You're living a life. Talk about this picture.
just again, just completely ready for anything that came. Just feeling blessed to be, where I'm at, just having to pinch myself, to see if it was real, if I'm dreaming. And it was just, it was just a great moment.
No doubt. East Coast kid being on the West Coast, right? West Coast, California. You a Lakers fan. You support the Lakers. You're out in California surfing, different things like that, and your family coming to see you. Can you talk a little bit about that feeling?
It's great. I mean, just when you look at it, I try to look back from like 2 years ago, or even like last year around this time, where I was coming off an injury and I was really struggling with that, really trying to get back. And then like you fast forward and you're having all these opportunities, it just makes all the things that you had to do and had to go through, worth it.
No doubt. All right. This jump shot here. Now, I know you, but you know what? A lot of people don't realize you was a good basketball player too.
Yeah, I was all right.
All right. I was gonna say something about that jump shot, but it looked
went in though. It went in. I know
it went in. All right, no doubt. All right, Marcus. So, and in closing, let's talk about any shout outs or any lasting advice that you have for anyone.
If you have a goal that you want to complete or you have a goal that you want to achieve or accomplish, just set the standard for yourself. You can set a long-term goal, but just focus on, being consistent and consistently working towards that goal each and every day. Because I don't care how much like skill or talent you have. That really doesn't matter when you get on to the next level. It's just about how consistent are you and how much do you love it. So yeah, that would probably be my biggest advice. Is just like stay consistent and, whether it's, you want to be, academically be the greatest, or you want to, or go to a D1 school, just keep that in mind. Make sure that you're making the decisions throughout your day, to meet that goal. Because you can't be a D1 player if, you're making, decisions that don't line up with being a D1 player.
No doubt. And Marcus, I want to close on this by saying, when we talking about, obviously we lost Kobe, and a lot of people talk about that Mamba mentality. I can tell you, you was one of the young men I coached that had that mentality, and you wore it on your face. Like you're a fierce competitor. Like along the lines, like you hear the stories about Jordan, and I thought about, I said, that's Marcus. Like you hate losing. Like you're competitive. And I mean, it don't matter how big the game is, how small the game was. You wanted to win that game. Yeah. So, keep that work ethic, Marcus, and stay confident, because God has blessed you with a tremendous gift, and keep that mentality. But you got that killer instinct, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you too, Coach.
All right, no doubt. So I'm wrapping up here. Marcus, I love you. If you ever need anything from Coach, just let me know. All right? All right. See you later.
Yes, sir.